dog underscore 88 going live. We are going to talk today about back to the beginning about the the time, the first maybe couple of days, maybe even the first day, just to talk about what happened in sequence. What were the things that we do know versus the things that we don't know? And going back and looking at this, it was obvious to me that there was a few changes here and there, and there was some things that were clarified and some things that were not clarified. And so the thinking that I have is, what about that? What about why are there some things that are not being introduced as basic information to the people, and some things that are just being kept hidden from the public? Now, as a prior law enforcement officer, I get you have to keep things close to the vest. I get it. I understand it. Cynthia Drew is in the house. Good morning, Devil Dog. Good morning, Cynthia. I get that we have to keep in law enforcement certain things close to the vest because we don't want to expose all the information that we have because that could be used later. Hello, hello, Cynthia. Cynthia's in the house, says hello. Good to have you, Cynthia. So the idea is trying to go back and see what exactly was reality to what was fact. Patty Cakes is in the house, to what was fact, to what was literally happening. You very welcome, Cynthia. You very welcome. Glad you guys are here. So trying to go back and really trying to figure out why some things were not given versus why some things were, and why some things were talked about and some things weren't. Because here's the thing, it's like I've always said before, in law enforcement, it's not a bad thing to go back to the beginning and try to figure this out again. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing that you're willing to go back and try to figure out what happened. Okay? It's a good thing. It's a great thing. Because you're just double checking your work. You're trying to make sense of everything that is happening or everything that has happened and why wasn't certain things stated. So that is an important aspect of this. But the reality is that to think that, some things are not going to be shared with the public for whatever reasons, some things it's okay to share. It's not going to compromise the case. And then some things you cannot have because it is definitely going to compromise the case. So we're going to cover that and try to figure out right now how we can better understand it. Patty Cake says, yes, start over. Good morning, Patty. So if you like the live and you are new, please subscribe, become a member, become a Devil Pup investigator, and help us all become smarter, because that's what it's all about. Trying to figure out these things in hopes that someday soon, if not today, Nancy would either come home so that they can celebrate a life well lived, or come home so they can celebrate the fact that they are literally here. So, with that, without further ado, you all know my background. I have spent many years in law enforcement. I have done many cases. I have worked many cases. I have done interrogations. I have done a lot of things. And the fact of the matter is, I'm just giving you my opinion, okay? But I'm trying to break down some of these that may be facts and some of these that may not have nothing to do with anything other than smoke and mirrors, okay? So, with that, let's get it. So, we know Nancy Guthrie, obviously, we know by now fact that she went missing sometime between Jan- uh, January 31st to February 1st. We know that. That's fact. Okay. And I say that we know that that's fact because apparently that was when she was dropped off at about 9:48 or so, literally at her home. Okay. Somewhere in that time frame. So we know that. Well, do we really know that? Is the question. Because some will say, did she even arrive back home that night? Did she? I don't know. There's no evidence, nothing that says her son-in-law dropped her off on the 31st at approximately 9:30 on the 31st. Nothing shows that. Okay, let's be real here. There is no evidence, any photos, any pictures, anything that says he dropped her off at that time. So technically, that is a misnomer. We believe because they had the garage door go up for 2 minutes and then come down for 2 minutes. But then the issue becomes, did she have enough time to get out of the car, go up to her door, through her garage, up that big step, up the one stair, and go into her home, and then shut her garage door? Is that even possible? When did the garage door open? Did it open right before they arrived? Did it open right before or after they arrived there? We don't know those things. Those things they're just unknown. So then we have to look at the fact that, okay, we have to take something with a grain of salt, but we can't make it into a fact. Okay, did TC, the son in law, arrive back at the house to drop his mother in law off? We just don't know. We honestly, truly just don't know. That's a fact because many things can be manipulated, and there is no pictures or no sightings, literally, of anyone, especially Tommaso, dropping her off. Now we do know that by the Uber that was picked up Nancy at 6 o'clock, roughly p.m. Tucson time, and took her to Annie and Tommaso's house so that they could have dinner, talk, or whatever the case. We do know that the Uber driver did arrive there at that time. He has given his stamps, timestamps of arriving there. So we do know that. We do know that. That is fact. What we don't know is what happened after that. Okay? Because everybody and anybody can give all this information and it will mean nothing if you don't know where you're starting from the very beginning. Okay, that's where everything gets complicated. If you're starting a little bit before or a little bit after, you're going to miss pieces and it's going to throw everything off the sequence. That is just fact. So let's say that we don't know because we don't know when TC arrived there. Even though the timestamp of the garage door went up for 2 minutes, it came down. We also know that with the right app, you can literally download that app where you can raise the garage door or drop it at any time. And it would probably be a safe bet that family would have that app because in case they ever needed to go there quickly, they could just open the garage door, go right in. Okay. Let's just be frank. That would make sense. Nancy wasn't in great health. So she was literally struggling. Mobility issues were an issue big time. Her mental cognitive issues, that wasn't so bad. But literally, her being able to walk long distances and do all this thing, that literally was something that she struggled with, according to Savannah, according to Nanos, and according to others. So now what we have is you have the beginning. The Uber driver. Now here's the thing about the Uber driver. We don't, big questions have been asked. Why didn't Annie and Tommaso just go and pick their mother-in-law up? It was only 4 point some miles away. They knew she really couldn't drive at nighttime, so why not just go pick her up? I mean, is it that hard to drive and pick up your mother-in-law? I mean, her birthday was only what, 2 days prior to that day? But then you also have the idea of who called the Uber driver. Okay? And I like to do a lot of this role playing because I go put myself back as an officer. Okay? So this is a role playing spot where I would think this is how it could have gone. If an Uber driver was called, who called it? Was it Nancy or was it Annie or Tommaso? Because it's not clear as in who called, and that is important because it goes into the mind thinking of all the other steps that happen after that. Okay? So here's the thing. Here's my take. If it was Annie that called it, here's my thing. Hey, I need you to pick up my mom at such and such address. Yeah, she's going to be coming to our house. I need you to drop her off here. Pick her up at this time. Here's my information. We're just going to pay for it now. If you can pick her up and drop her off at my house at the front door, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. Done. It's all paid for. They're going to drop her off. Or was this Nancy calling and saying, hey, hi, this is Nancy Guthrie. Just want to let you know I need a ride to my daughter's home at such and such address. I live at such and such address. Could you please send an Uber to pick me up there, please? Thank you. What of those happened? Or was it Tommaso? Same type of comment or same type of talking point that that Annie had. Was it Tommaso? Here's the thing. Somebody called, but for whatever reasons, the Pima County Sheriff's Office is not telling you who made that call. Because the realistic thing here is that it's only 4 miles away. Why not just go pick her up yourself? Soaring Energy, Morning DD, have you ever watched a Channel Crime Crunchies? Because I had heard around day 2 a story that I discounted way back then. However, after watching her latest video, I think what I heard is in the beginning may be true. I will look that up. Send me a link to that, Soaring Energy. I appreciate that. I haven't, but I will definitely take a look at it. And welcome in, Soaring Energy. So now you ask the question, okay? What exactly who was the caller that made the call? Was it by choice, Nancy, or was it by choice, Annie or Tommaso? We don't know that. But it is an important thing to know. And why they can't just look at the records and see who did this is beyond me, everybody. It's beyond me. We just don't know because they won't tell us. Soaring Energy, she has hit several points that I already knew and she validated them. Very interesting. I will definitely look at that. Thank you. So we're at who called the Uber. That information is not given to us. Here's my notes, by the way. So if you see me looking at my notes, they're my notes. Uber picked her up and dropped her off. We know that. Timestamps were validated and given to the Pima County Sheriff's Office. We think we think that TC, her son-in-law, took her home, but there's no evidence of it. We think he took her home because we hear the garage door opening up for 2 minutes and coming down, but we don't really know if he did take her home or not. We don't even know if she ever left the house, right? Let's just be frank and honest. We don't know. There's nothing showing. There's no pictures. There's no videos. There's nothing of him driving down that road up in the Catalina foothills with any other camera, Nest camera that's on other doors, able to see him driving by. And we know that we would see that because we've seen a lot of other cars that have come through there, a lot of other people that have walked through there, that the Nest cameras have captured that footage. So we really don't know why or if he ever made it there. Let's just be frank and honest. Remember, everybody can open a garage door. If you have an app, you can open it from anywhere. Let's just be frank and honest. We cover the garage door open for 2 minutes and it closed for 2 minutes. Is that really enough time? Now think about this. The woman has bad back problems. Nancy has bad back problems. She has bad leg problems. She pretty much really is like not very well as far as mobile goes. Okay? She's driving or she's in supposedly, and I say supposedly because we don't know, she's supposedly in Tommaso's vehicle driving back to her house. Now, 4 minutes to you and I may not be a lot. 10 minutes, I think it's a 10-minute drive because of all the curves and everything. 10-minute drive may not be a big deal, okay? 10 minutes may not be a big deal to get there for you and I. But for her, I know that if I sit too long and I go to get up, my back is aching, okay? If I'm in a car driving and I go to get out, my back is aching. It's like, wow, like you got to stretch. Combine that with a woman who really has some health issues with her body. That doesn't seem logical that she just popped right up, got out, walked to her garage door, through her garage door, either put the key in or it was already up, walked in, bye, thank you, went into her garage door and into her house, and then closed the garage door, all in 2 minutes. That doesn't seem very logical to me. Okay, not for somebody who is not in good health. Let's just be honest and realistic here. Okay, I'm not saying it takes 30 minutes, but it sure as hell, 2 minutes, that's really pushing it. And then to do it 2 minutes up, 2 minutes down, right on the money. That just sounds kind of fishy to me, personally. Soren says absolutely not enough time. In her condition, she couldn't get out of the car in that time. So then we ask the question, okay, so did she even get there? Okay, think about it. Now I'm going to a role playing here. I'm going to play TC. I'm driving. If in fact I'm driving her, I could click that door. Click it, hold it for 2 minutes. All right, look at my watch. It's 2 minutes. Hit the garage door to close it. 2 minutes. And never make it to her home. Now, I know one of the things everybody's going to talk about is, well, her watch and her earbuds and or her hearing aids and her purse and everything was at the scene. Yeah, that was at the scene. That was at the scene. And we also knew who was the people that got there when they were called, and I'll get to that. But that doesn't mean those items were not put there at the scene on her dresser, and I'm going to cover that. So now, all of a sudden, she's apparently asleep or in her house. We don't know that. You have to keep that in the back of your mind. We do not really know that. All of a sudden, we are given a video and a still photos from the FBI that show a porch guy seen at the front of a camera. Now that's fact. We all seen that. It's not like that's not fact. That is fact. L is in the house. Good morning, DD and everyone. Good to have you. So we know that there was a porch guy at her front door because we saw it. The FBI gave us that video, gave us that footage. Okay. Cash Patel came out and said, this is what we were able to get from her Nest camera. We were able to go ahead and go to the back channels and contact Google so Google could go back the back channels and pull whatever information they could pull. And that is what they pulled. Falls, good morning, Falls. Good morning. So the porch guy, we know there was somebody standing at the porch. We know the porch guy tried to cover up the cam. He walked up to it, kind of not necessarily glaring at it, but he walked up to it and he starts messing with it, whether he's trying to open the door to see if it's unlocked. Because a while back, during an interview with Hoda Kotb, Savannah had said that her mom, a lot of times, will keep the doors unlocked or open, as they say. Okay? So that would make sense why this person would go. And it did look like he was jostling something in his other hand while putting his hand up to the camera, right? We do know that because we saw it. Now, was he checking the doorknob? I don't know. It could have been. We don't know that for a fact, but it could have been. It makes sense. Well, why break into a home when you can just open the door if it's unlocked? But then he walks away, goes back very awkwardly, and I say awkwardly because it doesn't seem like he's that gingerly of a walker, right? He doesn't seem like he's, a typical walk. It's more like, I got all the time in the world. I'm just going to go ahead and work my way. Didi, I think the family found out about her missing Saturday night, the original posting of the Pima County website that has the real time in it all started. It's very possible, Soren. It's very possible. Very, very possible. That's a very good point. So now he goes back and he goes specifically to one spot just past the porch, going down the step, and he picks up a plant and or foliage, whatever you want to call it. He picks up this plant and or brush or whatever you want to call it, goes right to it like he knew it was there. Like he knew it was there. He grabs it, turns around, and walks back to the camera and starts finessing with the camera. Now, some have suggested that this was all just a ploy, like a distraction. Paige is in the house. Good to have you, Paige. April, she looked comfortable and not nervous at all at the porch. No doubt. No doubt. Like he's been there before. That's how he looked. But my point is, he goes up there, and some will say, oh, it was just a distraction. So I ask you the question, what distraction? What is he gaining by distracting anybody? Hey, look over here, not over there. Well, no one's looking over here because if Nancy is there at her home, she's asleep, right? So, Oh, well, they want the police to go ahead when they see this, they want them to be confused. Really? What gain is it for them to say, hey, look over here, everybody, but really, we're going through another area? That whole house is going to get checked. So that really theory to me don't make no bit of sense. Distraction from what? It would be one thing if you had a family member walking there by the house and you were trying to do something to get their attention so they could come your direction, right? That would make sense if somebody else was coming through another end. But the reality is that it makes no sense. Distraction from what? What was the distraction for? What was the gain? In my opinion, someone was inside with Nancy and they were told to look for cameras in traffic. And that's very possible, April. That would make sense. But the idea of distraction, never bought that one bit, okay? Because it didn't make any sense. But he goes there and he tries to, finagle the camera. Then he tries to look to try to, it appears like he was wanting to take the camera, okay? But he's looking at this camera. So then let's go to the next step here. All of a sudden, that's what we have. Doesn't show him yanking the camera. He shows him with a weapon, a pew pew in his front, right by his crotch, or right by her frontal area. If it is a woman, there's a weapon that's put there. Now, nobody really puts a weapon, but if you're a male, you do not put a weapon right by your groin for obvious reasons. And if you're a female, that just, I mean, maybe it's comfortable for them to put it right there, but that's not somewhere where logically it would fit, unless they wanted to expose it just so that when they walked in or they came in, if Nancy was there, she would see it and be intimidated by it, right? But that would mean that this person really wasn't that sophisticated to have a weapon right at her front or his front. Let's just be honest. That's not a normal place you would carry one. Soaring Energy says it was an all orchestrated video. That's possible. That's very possible. Good point. April says, I wondered what he was looking at on the floor. Your guess is as good as mine. But that's a good point. So he has this pew pew in the front, or she has it in the front, which is a very awkward place to put it. Unless you don't know much about weapons and you think, oh, if I need to grab it, I could just reach it right in front of me and grab it, right? For somebody who don't know how to operate weapons or how to carry weapons, think about that. I put my weapon right in front of me because it's the closest for me to grab it out of my hand. I don't know how to put it on my side because I'm not familiar with that. But in front of me, I know exactly where it's at. I just reach down and grab it. That would be somebody who really doesn't get the idea of where a weapon or a pew pew should be placed, in my opinion. Just makes common sense to me. L says, yes, I think there's a reason why the front porch guy did some of those things he did, getting the shrubbery and just doing weird things to make people talk and wonder. Very possible. I'm just not sure really what the gain is. What is the gain? If that person is doing this stuff, what is the gain? There's not more time being added. There's not less time being added or subtracted. So, what really is the gain? When you really stop and think about it, what is the gain? I can't find no, honestly, gain of him trying to say, hey, distraction, look over here, not over there. Because when it's all said and done, this crime scene is going to get looked over, and they're going to cover everything. They're not just going to cover the guy at the front and say, "Oh, see, there he is, the guy. Don't worry about looking at the back because we have the guy in the front." So just forget all that evidence back there. Let's just focus on the front. Does that make any sense to you? Because it sure as hell don't make sense to me. Just saying. Low birds in the house. They put it there because it's harder. It's harder for someone to grab it versus a hip. That's why it's worn there. I've been law enforcement for many times. I have dealt with people with weapons. I've just never seen it there. That's not a very logical place to put it. Uh, I mean, it could be lower bird, no doubt. It could be. It's a good point. I just people who know weapons and know how to carry them, they just don't carry them there. Okay, I would see that more as somebody who don't understand how to carry a weapon, how to use a weapon, and they think I got to grab it as soon as I can because I got to know where it's at. You know, it's that I got to make sure I get it. I got to make sure I get it. Side, I can't see it, but right here I can feel it. I know it's right here. It's kind of like a muscle memory thing. L says, so people will pay attention to that and not what's actually going on. But it really don't matter. What would be the purpose, L? Let's say that people will pay attention to that and not what's actually going on. What is actually going on? What is he actually distracting anybody from? This is a crime that apparently is being committed in early morning when everybody's asleep. This is a crime that's being committed. Okay? Why would we be saying let's look at him and it's a distraction so everybody else doesn't know what's going on, but they're going to figure it out what's going on. When this gets investigated, they're going to go to the back and check the back. They're going to check her room. They're going to check the house. They're going to check the garage. So what really is the gain? You understand what I mean? What is the gain? What is that? What are they gaining by doing that? By saying, hey, so people will pay attention. It doesn't matter if there's no one there but them. So who are they playing an audience for? The officers, the investigators, who are they being an audience for? Who are they playing this charade for? Because they know what they're doing, or whoever's there, they know what they want to do. No one else is there watching. Well, yeah, but if they look at the camera later, they'll see this. That's not going to take away from them doing a crime scene at the bedroom, right? So what really is the gain? I'm here to tell you there is no gain. Once again, we're not trying to commit a crime over here and people are around us and we're saying, hey, look at me over here, everybody, and everybody turns, but they don't see the guy taking the chocolate bar from the counter of the business. You follow me? There's no gain. In my opinion, I don't know if somebody can share me what the gain is. I'd be more than happy to literally agree with it. But what is the gain? Look over here, not over there. Well, we're going to look everywhere when it's all said and done because it's a crime scene. It's going to be looked at. She's not there. She's going to be missing, right? So I'm not sure that passes the smell test in my opinion. I'm just saying, good point. I just don't see where the gain is. There has to be a gain of something, of time, of like you said earlier, look over here, not over there. But there isn't any gain because they're going to investigate this crime scene from top to bottom, from side to side, from the garage to the back to the property line. No matter what, they're just going to say, what is this wacko doing here at the front? Okay. Then they're going to move on. What else do we have? Then they're going to move on to the bedroom. Okay, it looks like she was laying here. You follow me? And then it just keeps going on because that's what they're going to do. They're just going to investigate it all, no matter what. So if someone could give me a really good reason why it's a distraction, by all means, tell me because I want to know. because I don't buy it was anything to do with the distraction. I really don't. Was were they saying were is it possible that Nancy was awake and she was looking at the perp out the window and said, "Oh my God, what is he doing? What is this guy doing here? Oh my Lord!" And then somebody came from behind her and did whatever to her. I mean, to me, that's just not logical. Only because of the fact that we're talking about maybe 1:30, 1:40 in the morning. Because she was literally taken, they said, at approximately what, 1:48 in the morning, maybe 2, somewhere in that circle. So really, what is the gain? There is none, in my opinion. But good point. I appreciate that question. So now let's go to the next one. So the porch guy pretty much finagles with the camera and it's done, right? For that scene, it's done. He's standing on the doormat that's outside on the front door of Nancy's. They show him standing on the floor mat. You can't really see any blood splatter on the front because it's still dark, right? But from this point, that scenario from the front and that scenario from what we just talked about is done. Okay? We don't know if the son-in-law actually brought her back. We really don't know. We have no evidence of that. Yes, we do have a garage door opening and closing 2 minutes exactly up, 2 minutes exactly down. That kind of would seem like you're on a timer. 2 minutes? Okay, 2 minutes, go back down. You know what I mean? So that doesn't seem like, like that really gives any credence, in my opinion. It does give a timestamp when the garage opened and closed, but it doesn't say Nancy was there. But for all sake of purposes, we'll say she was there. But I'm telling you, I'm not buying that it's a fact that she was there because there's nothing showing factual that she was there. Now we'll get to some of the questions that I know people are thinking. Well, yeah, double dog, but you got to remember they had her hearing aids and her watch and her purse and etc. were sitting there. They were in the house. She had to have been there. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. And her phone, not necessarily. Who was the first person that got there? It was A&T. They were the first person that actually got there. Right? Supposedly, they got a call from the church ladies and said, "Hey, your mom wasn't there on the live stream with us on the watching the services, so we kind of got concerned and thought you might want to know, and because we think something could have happened to her, something might have happened to her." So then what happens? A&T, Annie and Tommaso, take off and go to Nancy's house so they could see if Nancy's okay. Now here's where everything gets kind of fuzzy. They come there to see if everything's okay. And they don't necessarily, we have no idea where they came through. Did they go through the front door? Did they have a key? Okay. Did they go through the garage door? Did they already know the passcode and they opened the door? Did they go through the back? Where did they come into that home? And this is why it's important because we're not getting that information. And Pima County Sheriff's Office ain't giving that information out. But think of why it matters. Okay? They got there at 11 o'clock was actually the stamp that they got there. 11 o'clock a.m. Tucson time. They get there. I'm sure they're, excuse me. Excuse me. They're calling for their mom, right? That would be more than likely that they're doing. They're calling for their mom. "Hey, mom, where you at? Nancy, where you at? Where you at, mom?" We can see that happening, right? We know that's happening. This is common sense if in fact she's there, right? We don't know it's happening for a fact, but we assume if she is there. Okay. But where do they come in from? Well, you ask, why is that a big, really issue? Well, because if they came from the front door, it would pretty much be almost like obvious that when they walked up there, they saw this little loose foliage, maybe by the camera or where the camera had been ripped off because it was taken. Or they look as they're coming in the house, they're like, wow, where's this come from? This flower, this foliage, this plant, where did that come from? And as they're looking down, they're going to see, probably my guess, because it's daytime, they're going to see blood spots, right? It would only be a guess to me. Now, I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm saying it would only make sense to me if they came in through the front door. They would have seen that little debris on top of that doormat. They would have seen little bits of blood spots on the ground. That's why it's important. But we don't have that information, and Pima County Sheriff's Office is not given that information. So now, all of a sudden, we don't know, did they come to the back door or the front door? Now you say, well, could they come into the garage door? Wouldn't there been another stamp of the garage door opening up at 11 o'clock? They never said if there was or not another stamp like they did the first time. They said it was open 2 minutes and it closed for 2 minutes. But they never said if it opened again later on when Annie and Tommaso got there. And these are little details that really make a big difference, everybody. A big, huge difference. So, did they see it go up again and down when Annie and Tommaso got there? They don't say. We don't know. Okay. So then, when they pulled up and they went to as they pulled up by the garage, did they see the gate open and said, "Why is the mom's gate open?" That's a fair question. Did they walk to that gate directly and go, "Why is it open?" And then they see a flower pot that's keeping it propped open. That would be common sense, right? And they're like, "Why is this open?" And then they walk in through the back. And then they see the kitchen doors open, holding with a pot, a flower plant pot. And then they see another door open, holding by a flower pot. I mean, wide open, open, literally open. They see that. Is that possible? Sure it is. Think about it. You pull up, you see that the back gate is open, and you're like, well, that's the. So I could see if they saw that, they would have directly went towards the back of the gate, right? The back of the house. They're gonna find out why in the hell is that gate open, and they're not going to go through the front. That is very probable. That would make sense to me. But let's say they went through the back and they go to the fence and they see the kitchen door wide open and they see the back door open. They're like, what the hell? Because that's what I would think. What the hell? And then as they're looking around going, Mom, Nancy, Mom, Tommaso saying, Nancy, and Annie saying, Mom, where are you? Where are you? Now, they don't say which door they walk in through. Okay? Because the kitchen door, when you walk in through it, the bedroom is on the right side. You just go to the right and there's her bedroom. They don't say where they came in through. Now, let's just say for sake and purposes that they might have came in through the back door. That's probably probable. I could see that because the gate's open and they noticed it and it took their attention straight to that. That would make sense to me. So let's say they came in and they were yelling for their mom. Where are she? Where is she? Where is she? They looked in the garage, nothing there. They went ahead and maybe even Tommaso said, "Hey, I'll look out here in the back of the yard and stuff, and back in the around the house. You look inside," or maybe they both went inside. Okay, we don't know that, and they don't tell us that. Why not? What is that hurting? Why not just say, yes, according to Annie and Tommaso, they went in through the back door. They noticed that the back was open, the doors were open, wide open, held by flower pots, and they went inside through X door and they went ahead and started calling for their mom. They went and checked this. I mean, that would be a normal press conference because you're not giving any information away about the crime itself. You're just saying they walked in the house, they looked for her, she wasn't there. But now they go in, they look, they check the restroom, they check the front room, they check maybe she would have fallen, she could have fallen, right? She's not in greatest health. Maybe she got up to get a glass of water, maybe she got up to use the restroom and she fell. So they're checking this all out. Makes perfect sense. But they're not finding no Nancy. And then all of a sudden, this is where the items that were there, where earlier you would have asked me, Devil Dog, but her phone was there, but her purse was there, but her hearing aids were there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Her medicine was there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Was it there? Was it really there? Do we know that it was really there? How long was this? Is just trying to look at all the facts. How long was Annie and Tommaso there before the officer showed up? They got there at 11. What time did the deputy show up? 12:03 is when the call came in. 12:03. So you're thinking maybe 4 or 5 minutes at best. So they get there. Who's to say that stuff wasn't put there by one of them? I'm just saying, you got to look at every possibility. Because here's the thing, folks. Usually a crime like this is literally, they know the victim. 92% at this age, they know the victim. Not saying they did anything. I'm saying you have to look at that possibility. Why didn't they just put that stuff right there? We'll put it right here. We didn't get the stuff when this, that, and the other. We're gonna put the stuff right there. Okay. Oh, open the back doors. Make sure we open the back doors. That way it looks like somebody came in. And we'll put our stuff right here. And then, yeah, there you go. Just playing devil's advocate here. That's not crazy to think. It's a person who probably knows literally Nancy. They come in. Maybe those doors in the back were never locked. Maybe they were never opened. We don't know that. We're assuming because they said that. But they were there an hour, roughly an hour, 56 minutes, you give or take, before anybody showed up. Not saying they did this. I'm saying you have to look at all the facts. So now they walk in, they set that whatever there, maybe touch up a couple of things, they open the door because now they'll think that they took her out the door. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Open the back door, open the other door. Maybe if this was all planned like this, maybe even the gate was not open, but it was open when they got done. You have to think outside that box, everybody. We don't know that. We're just assuming. We don't know that this happened like that. We're just assuming. Why? Because we don't even know if she made it back or not. And the reason I bring this up is because I know there's critics out there that will say, well, her stuff was right there. Who's to say they didn't put her stuff right there? Who's to say that stuff wasn't at their house when she was apparently dropped off at their house? And in the midst of all this chaos and a lot of stuff, God only knows what happened, they come back and they're putting this stuff right where it should be if she was there. It's possible, right? Don't you think it's possible? Of course it is. There's no like, oh, trying to figure this out or put this. No, 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 no. This is reality. So that's why I'm not so keen when they say these items were found in there. That means she had to have been there. Not necessarily. I would argue that it's possibly they could have put it there. We just don't know. Well, the garage door was open. Anybody could have opened the garage door. Really? 2 minutes? It's open for 2 minutes. I'm watching my watch. It's closed in 2 minutes. That's enough time for her to get there. Really? You follow where I'm going with this? There's a lot there that we take as, because they said it, we take it as fact, but it's not fact. We don't know that to be the fact. We don't know that that's exactly what happened. So now you go in there, they put it in there, she's not there. If there's any other videos there recording, which I don't think there is, but they said there was videos in the house, that Nancy has several videos in the house, very camera, should I say, in the house. Is it possible? Do they have hearing possibilities, like a hearing, that they record hearing as well? Mom, where are you? Where are you? Just in case it captures a voice. Hey, Mom, where are you at? Where are you? Mom, we can't find you. As I'm putting the stuff to where I want it. Mom, we can't find you. Where are you at? Oh my God, I think she's missing Tommaso. Oh, we need to check everywhere. We need to check outside. We don't know what was being said. We don't even know if there's any video of that. But that's a very good damn possibility. That's not like stretching anything. That's literally a good possibility. What I'm telling you. So now the idea that they went ahead and they called out, and then once they go out to the front and maybe looked in the side and looked, went down the road a little bit, maybe even knocked at a neighbor's house. You have two people doing this. You have literally Tommaso and Annie that are there. So they're covering a little bit of ground. You're telling me that took what I just described to you took over an hour or 56 minutes to an hour? I don't buy that one bit. So what am I really saying? They waited till 12:03 to call 911. That's been proven. That's fact. Deputies probably got there, I don't know, 4 minutes later. But they got it as a call of a missing person call. So being in law enforcement, when I've gotten calls for missing people, and I'm going because it's my beat. In other words, the area that I patrol for that day, it's my beat. It's just me going out there. It's a missing person report. Let me take the report, see what I find, see what's going on. Maybe she just walked away. It's reported as a missing person. Missing persons happen a dime a dozen. Okay, a dime a dozen, literally. So all of a sudden, officer finally shows up. So hey, now I'm going to play the officer. Hey everybody, or hey, Mr. Mrs. Guthrie, what's going on? We got a call that there was a 911 here. Somebody missing. Who's missing? Our mom. We can't find her. Okay. Takes out my notepad. So, did she ever done this before? No, never. Okay. Do you know where she might have gone? I have no idea. We called her name. We looked for her around the house, in the house. Okay. He writes all this down. Okay, because that's what you do as an officer. You write all these notes down. Okay. And did you guys, when you guys got here, do you remember what time you got here? Oh, probably such and such time. He writes that down. Okay. And you guys looked everywhere? We looked everywhere. Okay. Well, let me take a quick look around. Maybe did you guys check the garage? Oh, yeah, we checked the garage. Okay. So let me go ahead and look around real quick before we, because she might have walked out the door. Oh, well, the back doors were wide open. Oh, the back doors were wide open? Yes. Okay. Back doors were wide open. Like, were they open like a little, a lot? They were open. They were held by these flower plants. Plants. Oh, okay. Hold by flower. Like it is right now? Yes. Just like it is right now. Okay. All right. So that when you guys got here, that's how you found it? That's exactly how we found it. Okay. I'm jotting all these notes down because I'm going to have to go look back at this when I do my report. Okay. So then I go, okay, well, and what else? Did you notice anything odd? Well, yeah, that the gate when we pulled up, that gate was open too. Oh, the side gate? Yeah. That's why we went through the back because we were just figure, not they haven't told us that's what she did as far as going through the back. But that would make sense. See how easy it is for me just to say that? Yeah, when we came to the back, that's why we went through the back because that back gate was open too. Okay, let me write this down. All right. And that's when you notice the doors. Yeah, the doors were wide open. Okay. All right. Well, tell you what, let me look at this before we, get all thinking something might have happened. Let's go ahead and let me look around and then we'll go from there. Okay. All right. We looked everywhere. We called for her name and she just didn't respond. Sounds good. Let me look. Officers always have to look. Deputies always have to look for themselves because there's nothing more embarrassing that you find somebody laying in the garage because they slipped and fell, and you're calling everybody and their mother out to come to this scene when she's just right there. I'm just telling you reality. It's literally embarrassing for that to happen. Okay? So, officer goes, checks the garage, goes, checks the restroom, goes, checks around the house, comes back and says, I'm the officer again. I didn't find anything. Yeah, we didn't either. I didn't see anything. Now, you guys came to the back. Did you guys notice anything with the front door? Was it open? We didn't even check the front door. Okay, well, let's go look. Go look. Now the officer says, oh, shit. We got blood. There's blood here. Was this here before? We never seen that here before. Writing this down. I'm writing it all down. Never seen it there before. Okay. Is the door locked? Let me see. We don't know if it was locked or not. They never told us. So then they go, yeah, I'm not sure. So he checks it. Don't know what he found when he checked that door. At this point, he's like, okay, hang on a second. 23 headquarters. Go ahead, 23. Hey, be advised, I've arrived here. We checked out the area. Well, he's going to say he arrived there when he first got there because they have to log all that in. So he says, hey, this is 23. Go ahead. So I looked around the area, spoke to the RPs, reporting party, spoke to the RPs, and we looked around. They said this, she's never done this before, but when I got here, the back doors were open. Uh, there's some things that look very not normal, very suspicious, as far as I'm not going to tell you over the scatter land, as they call it. People listen to all their you know what I'm talking about. Listen to all their freaking everybody, what cops are doing, their scanners. Um, so then he said, hey, yeah, be advised, I'll call you directly and let you know, but it doesn't look good. Do me a favor, call the detectives out, send me a couple other officers out here, see if I can get some help, maybe look a little bit further, and then go ahead and call out the detectives. You might want to send a message to the sheriff to let him know what we got. But yeah, definitely send me people over here now. Okay, clear, done. Now he's after he says that to dispatch, he goes looks a little more. Nothing. Okay, so when did you get here? She says when they got here. Okay, and you looked right at yeah. Did you touch anything? No, I mean, we're always in here with mom. We always see her. We pretty much take care of mom, so we're always in here. But I mean, we didn't touch nothing when we came in. Okay. Sees her. Okay. There's her phones over there and her stuff's still here. That's what doesn't make any sense. Okay. Hmm. And that's how that conversation goes. You see how easy it is to take something and twist it to something else or think something is actually fact when really you have no clue if it's fact. Now, granted, you can only go by what you see. You can only go by what you're hearing from the RPs, the reporting parties. You can only go at that time, at that moment, from what they tell you. Okay, you can't make up other things because you don't know. You're just taking what you consider to be factual from what the RPs are telling you. Your mind's not thinking, oh, they did it. As an officer, your mind's not going, okay, they did it. No, you're just going, wow, this doesn't look good, everybody. Now, you're not telling them that, but in your mind, you're going, this don't look good at all. Blood in the front door. Door was unlocked or locked. Um, they came through the back at approximately what time they came through the back of the house. They noticed that this and this and this. Yeah, I think we got a problem here. Now, if Annie says, I called the hospitals because we thought that maybe mom was taken, that she had called an Uber or taken a because they did mention about an Uber that they had thought that maybe she had called an Uber to go to the hospital because she was feeling some pains or something, or they said, and they also said that we didn't know if she had called and literally they took her and they just forgot to close the doors. All that was stated. Okay, all that was stated. So that's fact that she stated that. We don't know if she took an Uber to she was feeling some pains or something, and we don't even know if maybe the ambulance came and they took her, to the local emergency room and with took it to the emergency room and then from there, you know um, they just forgot to close the doors. Possible. If I'm the officer, I'm going, well, I say this is possible. Hang on a second. Now, as an officer, this is what I'm doing. 23 headquarters. Go ahead, 23. Be advised, do you have anything in the call logs of anybody responding here to this resident from an ambulance or maybe whatever they call it? Was there any ambulances called out to this location picking up anybody? Let me check. Let me check the call log. Negative 23. There was no calls there. Okay. Can you contact such and such and ask them if they had anybody come out here to this address to pick somebody up? Clear. A minute later, 23 headquarters. Go ahead. Be advised, there was nobody went out there either. They don't have any address of anybody showing up there picking up anybody. Okay, thank you very much. Writes that in his notes. And right away, there's nobody who came there to pick her up. That's how simple it is for them to go ahead and put all these dynamics together like that. But Annie tells Savannah, I call when she Annie finally calls Savannah anywhere from 1 to 2 hours later, calls Savannah and tells her, hey, mom's missing. Savannah says, what do you mean missing? She's not here, she's gone. What do you mean she's gone? That doesn't make any sense. She's gone. Well, call 911. I did. They're already here. What did you call the hospitals? I called the hospitals and they don't have mom anywhere. Well, I'm going to call the hospitals there and see if maybe somebody. Okay, why do you call the hospitals when they just told you that she just told you she called the hospitals? But even before that, that deputy more than likely went ahead and asked dispatch because they would know if there was somebody responding here. And they told you no. See how that doesn't make sense? You see how that doesn't jive? That doesn't jive. Her telling Savannah to about an hour to 2 hours later, and then her telling Savannah, she said, I'm going to call the hospitals. And she says, I already called the hospitals. And she says, well, I'm going to call them myself. But then she already knows, more than likely, because it probably happened exactly like I told you, because that's the first thing a deputy would say. Here, hang on a second. Let me call headquarters. 23. This is 20. Headquarters is 23. Go ahead. Was there any responding individuals coming here from maybe you know emergency ambulance, whatnot, yada yada yada? Negative. Could you call so and so and see if they sent anybody? Negative. No one to that resident. Okay. Well, you already know in a matter of seconds that no one was called there. Okay. And this is going under the line that he did call dispatch. Now, we don't know if he called dispatch, if the deputy called dispatch or not. We don't know that to be fact. But that's usually a part of when you're trying to find a missing person, and somebody in the family or somebody tells you, hey, we thought that the ambulance had come and got her. That's going to be a clue 9 out of 10 times to go ahead and call dispatch and find out. So I would think it would be normal to think that they did call. In other words, that the officer did, that they told him that because he ended up calling. They won't tell us if he did or not. Pima County Sheriff's Office won't confirm that. Why? Why do you not confirm that? That has nothing to do really about who did the crime. That's just covering all the ground that, yeah, they made all these calls. They did contact these entities. They did try to find out if, in fact, they went ahead and this was done. Okay? Sorry, buddy. Just got lost of thought of telling you. So let me read some of these. So people will pay attention to that, and that's not what actually is going on. But there's no gain for it. Cynthia, haha. Lowbird, it's a cover up, not a distraction. That's possible, Lowbird. April, Cynthia, do not have something to add. Cynthia, do you have something to add? Says April. Cynthia, what do you mean, April? Brian Morris, thank you for your service. You got it, Brian. Thank you, my friend. God bless you. April, look like spamming, just checking. Fan, happy Monday, Devil Dog, and everyone. Right justice for Nancy. Soren, this was an orchestrated video SCE released to the public on purpose. Lord Bird, what's actually going on is a hire for Red Drum. Cynthia, I'm keeping my ideas close to the vest, April. I just wanted to be sure, says April. Kara, hello, Kara. Good to have you. Yes, Soren, I think it makes sense because I think the entire thing is cover up story to make people think something else happened than what actually did. Very well said. Lord Bird, the whole point is to create confusion. That's what do you mean gain? Yeah, I understand confusion, but the idea, you can confuse all you want. What I'm saying is there is they're going to investigate it inevitably, Lowbird. They're going to investigate the case no matter what. Everything with it. So even if it creates confusion, what confusion is it really causing? I mean, the guy's up in the front. What is he like? What is he creating that's confusing? You're not thinking he's not a part of this. You do think he's a part of it. And he, you know what? Him being there, he is a part of it. So there's no confusion there. He's an accessory to this crime, no matter what. Has nothing to do with confusion because what is he confusing? You would think that he's probably a part of this crime because he's there. Soaring, L29, yeah, Savannah knew what it was all about. Cynthia, I'm also doing something else while listening to Devil Dog. Good morning, Gronsky, everyone. L, more of a cover-up story than the guy distracting, and guess that's a better way to word it. Soaring Energy, abs, she knew Saturday. Lisa, please be respectful and remember these are all opinions. L, what they did definitely has been effective in my opinion, says Al. April, thank you, Lisa. Lord Bird, no distraction, it's confusion. Well, as an officer, if I'm going there, that's not confusing me at all. Just to be honest, that's not confusing me at all. That we have a person at the front door that seems to either A, wants to get in, or B, is trying to cover up a camera so he's not seen. So for me as an officer, if I'm looking at that, it's not confusing me at all. I'm not confused. I'm not saying, oh, like, why is he there? What is he doing? As far as I'm concerned, he is literally a part of this crime. He is an accessory to whatever crime happened here because he is at the front door. Agree, Lord Burr. Also, a good way to put it. Storing this all could have happened Friday night. Very true. Gronsky, hope you are all well, Cynthia. L, yes, could have occurred at a completely different time and day. Very true. Soaring, after the Mojan game with her friends, Friday is probably when this all happened. It is possible. Cynthia, yes, I am. I hope the same for you, Gronsky. Aid. Hi, how you doing, Aid? Why he had reflectors on the backpack if he didn't want to be seen? Nothing makes sense. Sorry, because the last verified people to see her last was Friday night at the Mangjang game. That is correct. I mean, that is technically the last time. April, Aiden, I got a good question. Could have walked or rode a bike there. Could have walked or rode a bike there. It's possible. I mean, it is possible. Growski, I agree with reflectors on the backpack. Makes no sense. April, reflectors are seen when walking or riding bikes after dark, is why I wonder now since Aiden's brought it up. Hands, how is Nancy doing? I just got here. Hands, so Nancy maybe did not get home. It's possible. Been set up then. Probably, Hands. April, hello, Hands. Nothing new, just looking at facts we know from speculation. Kara, the pacemaker disconnected from the phone. Hands, maybe Nancy was taken away for a birthday holiday overseas after any Tommaso celebrated her 84th birthday as a gift. L, and Nan not talking to family. I have a feeling that's because he has no reason to. He knows what happened to, in my opinion, says L. Soaring, the last people to see the verified was her friends at the Mohan game. Lord Lowbird, we don't even know if a crime has been committed. Well, we know a person's missing. That we do know. We know a person is missing. That's what we do know. If the car was pulled in the garage, 2 minutes is enough time to enter the house. If not, I don't think so. My opinion, says April. Soaring, Savannah knew immediately that she was taken because of something Savannah owed, and maybe not in money, but in respect. Very possible. April, do we even know if the car pulled in the garage with Nancy or parked outside of the garage? Either way, the garage door would go up. Lisa, where are you getting all this intimate information, Soaring? Lowbird, you show up and the senator is there. Lowbird, senator. Soaring, Lieutenant, exactly. Soaring Energy, Lobster, Lowbird. I truly believe he was there. He lived 5 miles away. Very possible. Lisa, I thought Uber driver was last verified sighting of Nancy alive and well. That is who was the last one to know that she was alive and well. Other than that, we don't know what happened in that house. I mean, for all sake and purposes. Who the Senator Lowbird? Who's the Senator Lowbird? Yes, the senator. Does he really? Does he really interesting? Lowbird. Yes, he said on camera he lives 5 miles away. Gronsky, I am with you, Lisa. It's the Uber driver who saw Nancy last. No doubt about it, Gronsky. Soaring Energy for Cameron to be on board with the plane, he has to Savannah was in charge. For Cameron to be on board with the plane, he has to. Savannah was in charge. Page, yes, Gronsky, unless Soaring Energy has new verified information. Soaring Energy, he had to know Savannah wasn't charged. Cameron. Soaring, Lisa, have you heard or seen of the Uber driver video? Lowbird, I mean, why wouldn't the senator run over there when Savannah called? Soaring, then that's not verified. You haven't seen or heard it. Lowbird, he was out, unless he was out of town, but I don't think so. Lisa, no soaring. Lowbird, I think the senator definitely helped Savannah clue Nano and with what had happened. Yes, same. Soaring. And if they found out late Friday night or any Saturday morning that she was gone, they had almost 2 days to put this whole scenario together. Very true. Was Savannah had any definite warned in the past couple of months that this deadline was looming, whatever it was, for money or for respect, and she kept ignoring it? Very possible. Sorry. So you're saying that the Uber driver lied and is involved? I'm saying the Uber driver didn't even exist. Say what? I'm saying the Uber driver didn't exist. Well, somebody gave information, and it was the Uber driver. Someone gave information. Someone gave their data information to the Pima County Sheriff's Office. Um, they would have record that there was a call made to pick up this individual. Um, and by the own admission of Tommaso saying that he took her home, meant that she got to his house safely, in all reality. So I don't know how that's possible. They thought she walked off at the beginning, but blood on porch and doors popped up makes it absolutely no sense. Lisa, how do you know S was definitely warned? I'm saying the only verified people that put eyes on her last have came out in the public. Besides her family was her friends. Friday night, Ellie interviewed Uber driver. That's what they told you, Lisa. Well, I mean, if law enforcement said they interviewed him, I mean, yeah, and they didn't, well, that's going to come back to law enforcement. But I mean, you definitely have to go what they tell you, in my opinion, because my God, if you don't believe what law enforcement is telling you in this sense of what they told you that the Uber driver dropped them off and yada yada yada, I'm not sure where you even begin to go ahead and figure this case out. I mean, it's one thing that the Pima County Sheriff's Office doesn't tell you anything. Okay, anything. They don't tell you nothing or very little. But to say that that's what they're saying, that they went ahead and they're telling you that it was the Uber driver, but maybe not. I don't know how that's even possible, to be honest, Soren, in my opinion. The 911 call is not available. They're not making it available, in my opinion. The 5 o'clock 911 call on Saturday night, according to Nanos, was a glitch, but it's not the Pima County website. I think Ellie knows where she is, or Bananos if minimum. The family knows what happened to Nancy and probably knows too, definitely, that Senator and probably NBC too. April, we all have our own theories and opinions, but little facts. That is true. Some people claim to have facts that are opinions. Paige, it's off putting. April, yes, my personal opinions have changed a few times too. Not much info. We don't know if this because they don't want to know or they don't know or a combination. April, I agree. Pace theory is ever changing, no doubt. Melissa is in the house. Hey, oh my God, so tired. I was up all night watching Ted, JLR, etc., etc. Mark live on Nancy Street last night. I had like 2 hours of sleep. I try remembering to put, in my opinion, or I think because I don't want people to mislead. It's already super confusing. Lisa, I'm with you. Catching up, everybody. Melissa, after last night, I can't picture random person going there to pitch dark. Think was someone Nancy's house well. Knew Nancy's house well. Lisa, so respectful for you as well. Melissa, all hearts. But April, Melissa, in my opinion, it's someone in the neighborhood. They knew the way around the area. April, yes, or close by. Soaring, I'm not just saying my other people to put eyes on her besides her family was Friday night that we know of what put eyes on her. No one's heard from the Uber driver. We haven't heard from Uber come out. If they can put together a crazy video, they can lie about an Uber driver somehow. But law enforcement came out with that video from the porch. Just state, in my opinion, instead of definitely, please pray to keep the real in here. So you're accusing LE of making the video themselves? I'm done arguing. Lisa, please be respectful. Sorry, no, LE didn't make the video. Soren Energy, they released the video. Okay, so I'm caught up. Sorry about that. My God, I was hoping this thing was gonna update like it just did, and we just gotta state it's our opinion, and we all can have them. I think it's so important so we don't have people coming in mistakenly opinions for facts. Very true. Lisa, dogs. So, it's a lot. My apologies. My apologies. I was waiting for that damn thing to kind of keep updating, and I never saw it update. So the church ladies we know call and let them know that she wasn't at the live stream. That's what sent Annie and Tommaso. They arrived. You guys got that 11:03. They don't tell us if Annie or Tommaso seen any of the blood. We don't know who called the 911. My guess is there was only at the beginning one deputy that responded. That would make sense because you're not going to have a lot of deputies respond if, in fact, it's just a missing person report. Now, when it turns into it could be not just or a missing person report, But if it turns out that it would look like there was some nefarious stuff going on, well, then yeah, they're going to call everybody. Elle says, very good, Didi. Appreciate your reading the comments like you did. I mentioned that you break things down last night, and someone said you read comments, and that's what makes this channel so great. Thank you, Elle. I appreciate you. So, like I said, I apologize. I was busy trying to give you guys all this information, and that thing that wasn't updating like I thought it would. But appreciate that. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Elle. So that's pretty much and Annie calls Savannah. They tell their whatnot. So that's literally what has happened. Okay, but yes, a lot of you got really good opinions and good ideas, and that's nothing wrong with everything everybody said. Everybody has their own view on how something could have happened or come about. That goes without saying. What I'm saying is I'm looking at the beginning, because at the beginning can't really be explained. How do you get to the middle? That's where all the confusion starts. If you can't explain the beginning, it's like writing a book. If you don't have the beginning, how do you even know what the hell the book's about? Or how do you go ahead and finish that book to understand why everything happened the way it happened? Thank you so much, dog. Have a great day, says Lisa. Chad. Oh, you're out of here? Have a good day. April. All opinions are welcome here, or discussions keep it kind and respectful. And if you can just type, in my opinion, after, we appreciate you all. So the idea is that it's like anything. You have to know the beginning before you can get to the middle, or you have to have an idea of the beginning to understand what could have happened in the middle, and that leads you to the end. But you can't if you can't even get the beginning right because there's so much confusion, then you're going to be off big time all the way through. You know what I mean? So as an officer, what I'm explaining to you all is basically how it probably played out or could have played out. And I'm telling you, where there's no facts, there is no facts. Where there's no confirmation, there is no confirmation. And when there is confirmation. So the next thing here, now here's something that you guys also need to know. So the blood splatter in the front door. Hang on, everybody. I gotta let my dog out. Give me 1 second, please. You gotta go potty, Max? Give me 1 second. Max, you gotta go potty? Go potty. Go potty. All right, back. So, so the idea that the blood splatter in the front door and the stoop, okay, these are things that we at Nancy's house. These are things that are unusual. Back door of kitchen is propped open with flower pot. Back gate propped open. Nancy's personal items left in the house. But I told you how that could have very well been, somebody within how I explained it. I don't want to rehash all that. Lober says, I don't agree with Juanita arguing with the cops last night. Yeah, I didn't see all that. Hit it, like, and subscribe if you haven't. That helps Dee Dee's channel. Thank you. L. Lowbird, I missed that. When did that happen? April, and it's free. So, thank you. Thank you, mods. You know, we don't know if A&T saw the blood spots. And it would make sense if they went to the back because they seen the gate open. Or it would make sense if they never really thought about going to check it because they knew what was already there. If in fact they were involved. I'm not saying they did it. I'm saying if. It's a possibility in my opinion. Lowbird, okay, I wondered if you saw that and what your perspective is. So we don't know exactly who did what was done. We know some of the things were can be considered as facts because they came out of, which was very few, out of the Pima County Sheriff's Office's mouth. So we know some things are fact. We know how some things come out. We know how some things are spread like wildfire out here. We know how that works. Little bird, I can't stay awake. We'll watch later. But there is no report that they seen. And if they did see the blood splatter A&T, they wouldn't tell us because they haven't told us. Now it is confirmed, or they're saying it's confirmed, that the ones who saw the blood splatter at the very beginning were the deputies. Because the deputies is they found it when they were putting up the crime tape when they seen that the back doors were open and they finally said, man, there's something going on. And as they did it, they said that's when they noticed it. But there's no confirmation on who saw it first in all reality. Now, the other thing, we don't even know if there's any other blood that was inside the house. Dee Dee, that's what I'm saying. Walk away reported at first who didn't see the blood. No doubt. No doubt. Agree with you. Now, CBS reported that law enforcement source stated that there was a little bit of blood in the house and that it was being tested. The DNA was being tested. Now, that's what they reported. That's never come out of the mouth of that I'm aware of, that I have ever looked up. I've never seen that come out of the mouth of Pima County Sheriff's Office. That was something that CBS had reported. Okay, the CBS had reported that a law enforcement source stated that. So we don't even know if that's even accurate, to be honest. Nanos wouldn't confirmed it when they asked him, when the reporter asked him, you know, hey, can you confirm if there was blood also on the inside of the house? He said, I'm not saying yes or no. He would not confirm that at all. They told her she filmed herself committing a crime. I think they were there because she was parked. Well, maybe that was the crime. They told her she was committing a crime because she was parked there and she wasn't supposed to. So maybe that was the crime that she was parked there. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I didn't even see it. Elle says, I never heard about the blood in the house. Yeah, apparently that came out through CBS reporting that a law enforcement source stated that there was a little bit of blood in the house and it was being tested. But that never came out from the sheriff. The sheriff said, when asked, he said, I'm not going to confirm or deny it. I mean, that's pretty much confirming something. Nanas would not confirm this information. Now, the big thing is you ask yourself, why did it take literally A&T to report this 56 minutes approximately later? So they were there for a whole 56 minutes. That's where I get the thing of, we can't say just because her phone and her and her devices and her hearing aids and everything else was there at the house that it wasn't put there. I mean, I'm not saying they did it. I know it sounds like that, but I'm just giving you how it could have been. That's my opinion, how it could have happened, how it could have showed up there. You know, maybe it was forgotten when she was at their house and they brought it back to make everything look. Maybe that's why the doors were open in the back. Just made no sense. April says, I heard at first that the house was immaculate. Same, April. Down, bandit. Down, bandit. Down. That's why it's all so confusing. I mean, think about it. The 911 call came in from Annie at 12:03. The call that was made to Annie from the church people was right at 11. So she was there for approximately an hour. Her and Tommaso was there for about an hour. What do you think could have happened in an hour? What could you get done in an hour? What could you make look better in an hour if you're trying to clean up your house? Just saying, it's a viable possibility. And we're only talking a lot about this because this is the beginning. This is not like, 2 days. We're only on day one. All this is happening. You know what I mean? Day one, and all this information is there. We have a lot of information, just like we don't have a lot of information. That's the problem. We do have a lot of information, just not confirmed. Cynthia, I saw a video of Nancy being taken down the driveway and onto the front porch while porch guy waited for someone to pick them up. I ain't never saw that, Cynthia. Where did you see that at? I've never saw that. Never even heard of that. People could get a lot done in an hour, no doubt. I saw a video of Nancy being taken down the driveway and onto the front porch while porch guy waited for someone to. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just never saw that, Cynthia. If you could share a link with that and let us know where to go to see that, I'd appreciate it. But if that's true, then yeah, that's interesting. But I just never heard of that. Now, it was reported that there was a polygraph taken with the family on February the 18th down at the Pima County Sheriff's Office. And this was reported by Fox News. When they first started talking about it, I can't remember or forget I said anything. When they first started talking about it, I can't remember, forget I said anything. Oh, no problem. I just say if you could send it to us so we can go ahead and look at it, that'd be great. But thank you. Appreciate your comment. L says, I haven't seen it. That would open up a lot about the case, but there are many videos out there now. True. Very true. No doubt about it. So moving right along now. On March 17, 2026, is when Nano said that the family was cleared. Now, here's a big problem that I have. How can you clear the family, especially the two people that live there? You could probably get away with clearing maybe Savannah because she wasn't there at the time. She was in New York. And you could probably make the case for Cameron. But to say that the other two who live right there by Nancy are cleared, how? When you can't even explain, did they even take her back to her home? You can't verify that. And a garage door opening and closing for 2 minutes is not a verification that Nancy came home. That just says the garage door open and close, right? So let's be real about that. It was one of the first videos released at the beginning. Okay, Cynthia, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. Okay. And they don't say who gave the polygraph. Was it someone that because they lowered up, the family did. They lowered up right away. Now, was it the lawyers that suggested who, or was it the sheriff's department? They didn't say. They never specify. Normally, it's not going to be the lawyers. It's going to be literally the department that's handling the case who's going to get the polygrapher to do the polygraph test on the whole family. Okay, that's usually how it works. But we're not in usual times. It seems like right now. And there were approximately 5 people involved. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I would love to see that. I would love to. If you could find it and share it with us, I would really appreciate it. Or send it to my email. That would be great, Cynthia. Now, here's the thing that I have a big issue with, too. So, there are no reported footprints that were claimed to be found at the crime scene. Now, think about this for a minute. If there's no footprints that were found at the crime scene in the back, when the doors were propped open, I just want you to think about this, okay? I really just want you to think about this. Yuli said hi. How you doing, Yuli? Thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate that. Now, hear me on this because this is important. There was no reported footprints were claimed to be found at the crime scene or the back. Now let's just take this for whatever it's worth. What if there was no footprints, you would almost have to believe that somebody took Nancy through the front door. And let me explain why I say that. Because there's no footprints. There's nothing out there. And unless they're wearing some type of doctor booties or those things you slip on your shoes so you can't leave any contamination of any evidence, what investigators would use. I mean, how else would they not get any footprints if they came through the back to open the doors? Right? Is it possible? Anything's possible, but I just don't know how you can't find footprints. April, Cynthia, you can send the email when you find it. Anything else you want him to see? Thank you, April. There's my address. But here's the thing. Could it make more sense? I'm just throwing this out there. This is not fact. I'm throwing you my opinion. Maybe Tommaso and Annie are in the house. They have a lot of time to play, right? They have 56 minutes. What if they opened the doors from inside the house? They opened the doors out and kind of moved a couple of flower pots to hold the door open. And what if they did that same thing for the door that goes to the kitchen? Is that possible? You open the door, put the flower pot. Open the door, put the flower pot. Is that possible? That would explain why there's not a whole lot of footprints. Why would they open the doors? Why would anybody open the doors? Or even the suspects? Is it possible that they opened the doors from the inside? The reason I say this is because then you wouldn't have any footprints. And then it would look like she was taken. It would give the appearance she was taken. Because her items are on the dresser that could have been put there by anybody, right? This is all opinion. The fact is they were there on the items were there. Nancy's items were there. We just don't know when it was put there. Okay, that's the fact is it was found there. The unfact is that we don't know when it was put there. You follow me? So it makes no sense. No footprints makes no sense. L agree, and they never took the rug. How is that even possible? We know they didn't take the rug. That should have been one of the items they took from the get go. Hang on, gotta let my dog in. Let's go, Max. Come on. So I'm back. So the idea says they never took the rug. They should have been the first item they took, especially with the blood splatter that was real close by the front door. I don't understand either. I know they had a tent up that day, but that was so much later and they still left it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know for, oh, you talk about tent up in the front door. Yes, yes. Yes, I know what you're talking about now. That is true. April, rug was right there. Perp was not to take it is very suspicious in my opinion. A song is in A song is in my heart says, why hasn't a YouTuber walked up to the porch at night with a black light? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, um, I mean, the most they're going to get is a trespassing charge. That's it. Just a trespassing charge, if anything. Check, check the rug. That would be interesting. That would very be interesting. So there was no footprints at the crime scene. So maybe these doors that were open in the back were open from the inside of the house. It could have been a plan that they were going to originally go with, that they were going to exit through the back door for better concealment. Something happened, something went wrong, or they just decided to go through the front door and leave the back doors open. Who would have left the back doors open? Why would the perps leave the back door open? You say, oh, for confusion. Who are they confusing? Once again, we get back to the confusion. Who are they confusing? Who are the perps confusing by opening the back door? Well, they want you to think that she took them out the back door, but the blood's in the front door. So who are they really confusing? Who are they confusing? Because law enforcement is going to literally analyze everything from the front to the back to the sides, right? They're going to investigate all of it, no matter what. It's not like they're going to leave something out because it looks like she came out the front. They're going to still check the back. My point is literally, who are they confusing? They're not confusing law enforcement. The only thing that law enforcement is thinking is, did they come out the back or the front? Blood is on the front, so more likely they went out through the front. So who opened the back? See, that's the question you got to ask. It could have been by the perps. It could have been by A&T. It could have been by whoever was there. My point is, it just could have been done from the inside because there was no footprints out back there. None that they said they had. Al says, I wouldn't do that if it was the YouTubers. They have heavy security. A song, where they hot? Did something smell? Think they are trying to mislead cops. It's very possible. But I just don't understand where, when you're investigating everything. You're trying to put perspectives in every scenario possible. You're trying to understand the confusion or confusing cops. I could see why they would try to maybe, like, did they come out of the front or the back? But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because the blood's at the front of the door and Nancy's gone. So whether they came into the front or the back, it really doesn't matter. The crime has been committed. Why the doors are open, that is a mystery. We don't know. Who opened them? We have no clue. And if this was something that was done by a family member, well, that would explain possibly, if they went ahead and opened them from the inside of the house. Now, here's the other thing. You know, did they ever say anything about the garage door opening and closing after the first two times that they opened in 2 minutes? We haven't heard that. Did they look at that? Did they look? Hey, let's check later in the day to when Annie and Tommaso arrived to see if Nancy was home. See if the garage doors were open at that time. Anybody check that? You say, why would that be important? Because then we know which way they came in. Right? We would know which way they came in. If the garage door is open, it's a pretty good possibility that they came into the garage door. Would then explain why the back doors were open, and it could say why they went out the front door. I'm just saying this is all speculative, but it would answer a lot of questions. But we're not hearing anything. Al says, did even put up a crime scene tape. People steady were walking up there. I can't get past that either. It makes no sense. April, my head is spinning again. Nothing is making sense. Blood in front, walkway reported, back doors open, rug left, etc. Cover up, in my opinion. I mean, this is why there's so much confusion, is because there's no clarity coming from the sheriff's department on anything. And this is something they could say. Hey, we interviewed Annie and Tommaso because they were the first ones to get there to see if their mom was, something had happened to their mom, because got a call and they came in and they came through the garage or the back or the front, and they found this and that, but they could not find Nancy. So then they eventually finally called the Pima County Sheriff's Office through 911. How hard is it to say that? How is that jeopardizing the case? How is that hampering the case? How is all you're doing by not saying it is giving misinformation? You're letting people think all these different things, scenarios. Why? Why, when you could give literally clarity to what is happening? Why would you do that? Why would you try to confuse people? Why would you try to get people to think of all these other things, scenarios, when you could have cleared that moment up? Listen, if we would have literally had that information, we wouldn't be spending any time talking about which way they came in. We wouldn't be spending any time whether, if they came into the front door, why didn't they see the blood splatter? If we would have had that information, you wouldn't be saying, how could they have not seen it? The blood, right? The blood splatter that was on the front porch. Just that little bit could have answered several questions and eliminated. But by not saying that and having the back doors open, oh, well, you could have gone the back, could have gone the front, could have gone the side. And then even the garage door, you say, well, why didn't they say, hey, we did look at the garage door. There was no other times when that garage door opened other than those first two times. Okay, that would clear that up. That would put more emphasis on the back and the front. And then if you said which way they came in, that would put emphasis exactly more than likely which way they came in. Because you took out and eliminated the garage because they were able to see if the doors were open again, right? You would be able to eliminate which way they came in if they stated literally that it was the front door. Then you would literally be able to eliminate the fact that, okay, they came in through the front door. Was it locked? Was it unlocked? You would eliminate a lot of things just by a little bit of information that's not hampering your case at all. So why do you not do it? Unless you want people to frickin' think. So you want people to come up with different conclusions and different scenarios. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. My head is spinning again. Nothing is making sense. Song Garbage Door has a keypad on the garage door. Yes, it does. And it also, you can download an app to open that garage door as well. You can also download an app to go ahead and open it from wherever you're at with a app of that garage door. April, yes, it's the only thing that makes sense to me. But what with her bleeding problem do we know for sure when that blood is from? Why not talk about it? Why not the sheriff say, "Hey, guys, we need to know because there's blood out here. We need to know. Did you guys see this blood?" That's a common question. Did you guys see this blood when you guys got here? No, we didn't. Okay, which way did he come in? Through the front door. And you guys didn't notice it? No, we really didn't notice it. Okay, that would explain that. Then you ask the question, how in the hell did you not notice it? Did you not notice this little trinket roughage plants laying on the top of the rug? It's black. So because it's black, green is usually going to stand out on anything's going to stand out on the rug, right? It's going to be an eye catcher as you walking up. You're going to be like, "What the hell is that?" And you're going to look down, right? You got to look down probably for the steps too. So you're already looking downwards. So how can you not see the blood splatter? Make that make sense. If you came through the front door, how could you not see the blood splatter? You're walking up the steps, so your head's not walking straight up as you're walking. You're gonna logically tilt your head down a little bit to make sure you're stepping on the right step so you don't fall. Right? It's common sense. How is it that you didn't see the blood? Oh, wait a minute. They said they came through the back door. Well, then you could say they wouldn't have seen it. But by not covering that ground, I mean, especially when they find the red blood, the splatter blood, you definitely going to ask, which way did you guys come in? Well, we came in the front. Did you guys notice the blood that was in the front? Oh, no, did not notice it. Really? Okay. Did you guys touch the handle at all or anything in the front? No. Yes, I get it, they're family, but you could just check to see if there was any fingerprints on the handle. Wouldn't hurt. May not say a lot as to, well, they're our family and they would find your fingerprints in there. Yeah. But it just added another little nugget to it. That's all. Solidifies down the road. Maybe not right now, but maybe down the road it actually it's one of those solidifiers that you come across. It's possible that everything we see is staged. I have gut feeling that she was not in the car going to Annie's house. April, SE, we don't know. I think she went to Annie's, but not sure she returned. L, the only answer to why, in my opinion, is that they know something and they know if they tell us it's going to make them look bad. L, exactly. If this was truly a kidnapping, why would not have had to stage so many things? Well, it probably was a kidnapping. Even if they did stage some things, they still took her, so she's still kidnapped, irregardless, right? Irregardless, she's kidnapped because they took her. Now, the idea that why did they have to stage many things just to make it look like it wasn't them that did it, it was somebody else. And that's where the back door opened, props, that's where the front blood, that's where the side gate, that's where all that has a play in it. April says, I have the app. Someone think her garage door is probably older and does not connect to a phone. Did anyone say connected to a phone app? Yes, I did. And April says, yes, I have the app. Song and app could have been removed at the time of the crime. Because with confusion comes distraction. And if this is all constructed, they need vision. Any distraction in these days of the internet. April, but how did they get a walk off? Did any report that? See, there's so many things there. Then that hair sample that they got, it was brought up and stated that hair sample never was reported where they got the hair sample. I have heard that came from the restroom by Annie's bed. I have heard that came from Annie's bed. But the truth of it is, they never really said where that hair follicle came from that got sent to a private lab in Florida and then to the FBI in Quantico. Why couldn't they say where they got it from? How would that hinder the case? If anything, when you give out some information, you're putting it in a position where the suspect goes, damn, we were in that room. Damn, we were in this spot. Damn, if they pulled it from there, oh God, we're screwed. Follow me? Now they start acting funny. Now they start making decisions that are not normally made. Now they start running into unnormal patterns and behavior. Now you start seeing it, and now people start going, God, I know this person. They never act like that, or this, that, or the other. But how did they get a walk off? Did Annie report that? I think Annie did say something about what did she say? She said something. I'm not sure it was in that exact language, but I thought she said something to that effect. I really did. I thought she said something that it was well, I'd have to go back and look. I know I heard that somewhere, but I'd have to go back and look to see if it was factual. April says Nancy's bed. No, I didn't say Nancy's bed. I thought I had heard Nancy's bed, and I thought that I had heard the restroom. But when I pulled up information, it's saying they never specified, Nanos has never specified where they got that hair follicle from. I thought it was by her on her bed, but I can't find anything saying that it was her bed. So I don't know. But see, that thing would be it would literally give a lot of fear into these people, these perpetrators who did this, these perps. It would put a lot of fear if they came out with some of these things and said, "We're looking at this because we found this." They're going to be like, "Oh shit! Like, did I leave something? Did I accidentally drop something? Did I accidentally forget something? Oh my god!" Now they start acting all shady. They start acting all like they're all nervous and whatnot, and people can see the reaction and how they're acting and what they're saying. People can see that. People who know them will say, "Man, that guy's acting weird," or "That guy's not acting normal," or "Why does he always talk about how evidence is found and how evidence is this and that?" Elle says, "More I think about it, more so much stuff doesn't look like more and more everything I think about it." Hello, Bird. I Wonder if she bled when she was going inside. It's possible. It's very possible. But one thing's for sure, we would know exactly if we knew exactly where Annie and Tomasco first came in. Did they come in through the front door? We would know if they seen that blood. We would know if that door was locked or unlocked, right? We would know those things. But it is very possible that those doors were opened later. There's a lot of time to literally, no pun intended, but there's a lot of time to kill, right? You got a lot of time to do a lot of different things. And I don't mean that literally, I mean that as in you have a lot of time to burn. So the reality would be, wow, can somebody literally it would answer a lot of questions that so many people have, and it would eliminate a lot of possibilities that people would have if they would just give something just to clear up some of these suspicious um, possibilities, if you will. Lober says McCashland's wife looked for him for 3 hours before calling. That's yeah, that's McCashland. So there was one deputy that arrived at the call, is what I found. And then after everything and seeing the doors open, it appeared that they called more deputies to come out there to help figure out what the heck's going on here. Lowbird, but she also thought he might have gone for a walk. That's true. Probably thought maybe he slipped and fell or hurt his head or something. So Nanos arrives later after this had happened, right? Nanos arrives later. But it doesn't say when he arrived, what time he arrived. It just says he arrived later. You know, there's so much stuff that could be answered just by giving that little bit of substance. Not saying give any bit of evidence, just a little bit of substance. What makes sense? What would clear different perspectives and theories? You know what I mean? It's just yeah, it's just so pathetic how this was handled. Then why did they hold T and A's car for so long? What was the reason? Yeah, they were checking it for evidence, obviously. But that is stated that Pima County Sheriff's is the ones who towed that vehicle, not the FBI. Now, I was under the impression the FBI was taking it apart, but was it them or was it Pima County Sheriff's Office who were having their people take it apart, their investigators? I would think a walk off, but blood on porch and doors wide open. Kind of don't believe that. I agree with that wholeheartedly, April. He only knew it was an 84-year-old. Yeah. So why did they keep Tommaso and Annie's car for so long? You know, they pulled the telemetrics. The digital information in that vehicle, where it went, where it drove, where it stopped. Why did they keep coming back to Tommaso and Annie's house looking for more evidence or looking for whatever they were looking for? because I think they came like 5 to 6 different times to their house to search again, right? Why would they do that so often unless they found something that they thought could be used in this crime in some way, shape, or form? Was this a game of Clue gone wrong? April, in my opinion, Annie made a report. Her 84-year-old mom walked off. It's very possible. I heard it somewhere. I just can't remember exactly where. Lowbird, because Kelly said he spoke with Nanos, someone is lying. So I still haven't heard anything about the car. Why did they keep Tommaso and Annie's car for so long? What was the reason? What was it? 39 days, 41 days? That's a long time, people. If you're going to download the telemetrics, that only takes a couple hours. If you're going to run forensics and everything, you're probably talking about 2 days at the max. 39 to 41 days, that's quite a long time. That's almost like we found something and yet we have to keep looking to find something else. Kevin D, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kevin. 42 days, says April. Reason why I think they kept the car a long time would be very controversial. Well, throw it out there, El. Reason why I think they kept the car a long time would be, well, say it. If it's your opinion, say it. Because right now, we don't know why they kept it a long time. Because they probably did it and it took all that time to cover it up. Now, that's a very good possibility. Lowbird, that's a very good possibility. April, bingo, Lowbird. I agree, in my opinion. L, covering up evidence, in my opinion. Possibly so. So I'm not saying they did it. We're not saying they did it. We're saying it's a possibility that you have to look at all the facts, all the information, everything you got, even the theories and suggestions. You know, you can't label them as fact, but you could sure as hell use them to see if it proves a narrative that this could have happened like that. Yes, Lovebird, we were all thinking the same thing. And he, that Annie, that too call said Annie was the one who mentioned maybe she was kidnapped. April, out of all the detained and questioned, that car was the longest to be kept. By no doubt. That was kept the most longest time was their car. You know, and you would ask why. What did they see? Did they see that car going down the road somewhere else in somebody else's cam? Did they see them driving that car that night in other parts of the Catalina foothills that another cam had caught? Is it possible? See, those type of things are just, they don't compromise your case as to who did it and why. All it says is that this car was in the area, was spotted in the area. I mean, you could surmise anything you want, you just can't state it as fact. L says they had to give it back eventually, otherwise would have been more suspicious. I agree.
You got mail from Oklahoma. And this is for pay.
Heck, Luke got his house swatted and had his car back sooner, no doubt. But who's to say that evidence wasn't massive and was difficult to clean up? That's very true. That's very true. I mean, anytime you unalive somebody, it's probably not going to be clean. You know, it's not going to be very easy. Song says, "Do we know if all of our trash barrels are accounted for?" I wouldn't have a clue on that one. Song, that'd be something good to check out, no doubt. And then remember when Pima County Sheriff's Office went over to Annie and Tommaso's house at night with the blue light, and they came out with like, was it 4 or 5 big trash bags with their stuff? Do you guys remember that? I guess the question is, what the hell was in those bags? Because they were full. It looked like a lot of clothing. Do you guys remember that? The wheel marks in the gravel are from the front steps out to the road. Does anybody remember the trash bags that were taken by the investigators of the Pima County Sheriff's Office when they were there at Annie and Tommaso's late at night, and it looked like with a blue light that they were trying to find something, and they ended up taking like 4 to 5 bags. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember that, or do it was that Annie and Tommaso that went there and did that? Help me out, somebody. April says, "I yes, I remember that. They literally went there, right? Pima County Sheriff's Office, and they took 5 bags, big trash bags, full of stuff. What appears some of the stuff looked like clothing. Loaded it up in their vehicle and left. And it showed them using a blue light. You guys remember now?" Lober says that text and phone call from Kaleha. Streamer recorded the blue lights and then coming out. Yeah, because that's what it was, and we saw it. We were watching the live. That's exactly where it was. We were watching the live. They went in there. It was at night. They were doing a blue light, and then they came out with what appeared to be not appear, which was appeared to be 5 trash bags. They were trash bags, but they appeared to be 5 of them, full of stuff in it, with what looked to be some of the stuff was clothing. Could it have been the outfits they were wearing? Could it have been outfits that everybody was wearing that night? Did they put them all in a big bag? Was that one of the things? I thought it was JLR, April. I'm not sure, but I thought it was JLR. I could be wrong. I mean, that doesn't happen by mistake. And they always say when you ask when you hear them ask nanos about, did they go through all the evidence, they'll say, "Oh, we're still going through tons and tons of evidence, tons and tons of photos and videos, tons and tons." It's like, dude, really? Why didn't you just give it to the FBI so they could have literally had it done pretty damn quick? Fan says, "What if they cleaned up and dumped the cleanup water on the grass spot in the backyard, and that spot was was died in MTS video. It's a possibility. It's a good point, no doubt about it. I mean, it's just there's just so much, everybody. There's so much that we can't even. It's hard enough just to parse, to try to separate the facts from not facts, the little things that wouldn't make a difference in the case. He didn't want to go through any evidence from the assessor's office. That's for sure. Well, that's, yeah, no doubt about that. He was mad. Nanos was mad that the assessor gave the FBI some information dealing with property taxes and whatnot. If you are in the live, please click like. Click like, if subscribe, be a Devil Pup investigator in the channel. Let's get those algorithms going, everybody. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, everybody. This is literally just that. It's reality. It's what's happening. Elle says, I didn't know about the bags being taken from entity. That just proves more what I'm thinking of, in my opinion. April fan, bleach kills grass and cleans up blood facts. Soaring, in your LE experience, have you ever seen a case like this or even close? No, I can't honestly say I have in my experience. I mean, I've seen some unalivings, I've seen some uh, or SAs to older women, probably in the mid 80s. That was kind of difficult having to talk to a 56, 60-year-old son and let him know what happened to his older mom, off her pocket change and her little pocket money that she carried. But I've never seen a lot of things that I've seen in this case, as far as like, ending search parties so early, um, not giving out information that really wouldn't compromise the case, keeping things quiet constantly. I have seen that, but not like this. This is like exacerbated on 10 times on steroids, literally. The things that they have been doing. But thank you for that question, Soren Energy. Appreciate that. So those are the facts that I wrote out. And the reality is that, once again, I get back to, I am not saying that Annie and Tommaso did this. I am saying, literally, in my opinion, that we cannot rule them out. They are not cleared because there's too much there. Literally, there's too much there that, for a better lack of words, can't be explained or are not willing to explain. You know what I mean? And so then you have what you have from a lot of people, not just streamers, but people in the news. You'll have a lot of assumptions, a lot of speculation, a lot of theories. 90%, 92% of the family involved in Nancy knows the perp, no doubt, without a doubt. Al says, and Nan had no business clearing them either. They look wrong too. Oh, no doubt. That was probably the biggest shocker I ever had. To clear family, I get it. They can go back and clear them and say, well, new evidence has shown a different view. But it's just the idea of you don't see people doing that very often. You don't see people going down that road because they know the liability issues. April says no one is cleared without a body. Yeah, because even when they do find Nancy's, and I do believe at some point they're going to find her, I do believe that they're able to test and run that by these individuals that are people of interest. If you are new, please subscribe. Click that like. Third try. Have you ever experienced a case when things don't make sense and you suspected corruption? Yes, that I have. Yes, Soren Energy, I have. I have worked some cases that didn't make any sense, and I did suspect some corruption. Yes, and this was dealing with a sheriff's department, and I can tell you that yeah, you had to be very careful because they have a lot of power, no doubt, absolutely. Yep, you do get that. April says, like and subscribe and share it. Helps the channel grow. Thank you for all that's being a part of it. April, there is my email, everybody. Blue X is in the house. Good to have you, Blue X. Thank you for being here. If you like the live, please click like and subscribe. Be a double pup in the channel. Do me that favor. Let's all help each other become smarter. Elle says, that's so sad. It is. Good day, Blue. Good day. It's been a great day for a Monday, no doubt. Hot out here in Ohio. Very hot. Humid, hot. But that's what we're dealing with. That's the whole thing. Um, there has been things like this. Is not unnormal. Make no mistake, everybody. This has happened before. This will continue to happen because you don't always have good people in positions all the time. Sometimes you will end up with somebody who is just as bad as the bad guy. Yes, it does seem to be changing the weather, L. I think that's definitely what's happening here. Yeah, I agree. And the fact of the matter is that once again, I keep harping on this. They could give you a little bit of information that would clear a lot of these troubling things that I have laid out for you all. It could clear these troubling things literally if they would just give us that little bit of information, because that little bit of information would go a long way, no doubt about it. And then you would eliminate you would eliminate those case scenarios because it wouldn't make any sense, so you would eliminate it. Maybe Lisa won't accuse me of being a troll today, and I can enjoy the stream. Good to have you, Blue. I think that's definitely what's happening here. No doubt about it, Soren Energy. Great streaming, great chat as always. You made this channel amazing. All of you have. You guys did awesome. But that's the whole point. Is figuring out. I wrote down all this information to make it easier to understand. And I know that a lot of it seemed like I'm pointing to Annie and Tommaso. That's not the case, everybody. What I am saying is that how they are going ahead and literally uh, defining it that this family is cleared is not correct. This family isn't cleared as a whole. Okay, it hasn't been since day one. And it's not because necessarily they did anything, it's because of the fact of what has happened. Okay? What has happened, what has transpired. Some of the things you have to understand is you have to take when we go over a case, any case, and we'll be doing a lot of cases, make no mistake, everybody. But when you go over a case, you literally have to take what it gives you. And because if you start to get outside that box, you're going to take theories, you're going to take opinions, you're going to take all these nuances, and you're going to try to make it into something justifiable, and it won't work. It won't work. You have to be responsible to keep that in your lane. And the best way to do that is follow that lead, follow that picture, follow what they're trying to tell you. By the way, I am Kenny. I decided not to use my name. I've been here since the beginning and always been respectful. It was so rude to accuse me of being a troll. I shouldn't be subjected to that. You're good, Kenny. You're good. You are good, Kenny. Soren says people ask with people talking about Annie and Tommaso being the ones who did it. Did it? People say, how can Savannah not wonder, and why did they do the display of one unis one basically of a unity? I think is what you're saying in front of the house. Yes. Um. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Do I think Savannah has an inclination in Cameron of what happened? Yes, I do. I really do. In my heart, I think that they believe they know what happened to her. And they may fear the worst in who was responsible for it. But I also think that what are they going to say? I mean, honestly, what are they going to say? Arrest my if they believe it's their family? Are they going to say arrest them, take them to jail? Or are they just going to say, I'm leaving and I ain't never coming back and I ain't talking to any of you? I'm out of here. It's kind of what she did, right? She got the hell out of there, went back to New York and said, I'm with my family. Cameron, he's got, townhouses and apartments and condos in Tucson. He probably does that. And then he's like, I'm out of here. Maybe in some way, shape, or form, they do feel it and believe it. But what gain is it going to be to say, hey, everybody, they did it? What gain? I'm not sure there's a gain other than more of headaches dealing with the fact that somebody in your own family could have pulled this off. Could have. Not did, but could have. SE says people ask without people talking about any. SE says, well, wouldn't Savannah, if just hypothetically, was the one who knew what was happening from the beginning and had to tell Cameron and Annie with them getting smeared in the public? Very possible. She would have to come out and pick up for them and tell everybody how wonderful they are. No doubt. Yep, I think that's what happened. Savannah left for more than just getting back to kids. I agree. SE says, if we entertain for a moment that Savannah knew from the beginning what was happening, she would have had to employ Annie and Cameron to keep with the plan because this was about personal revenge. SE says it still doesn't say why their car was searched so long. That is true. That is true. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Hey, everybody. So let's go ahead and finish up with this live. Kenny, good to have you back. If you guys can, when you go on your streamers, I know we got all these streamers out there, but if you go on your streamers, I'm subscribed to several of them. Make sure you plug in our channel so we can get a little bit bigger and we can have more people with more opinions. It's only going to make us better. And just pass out the name, pass it out to your friends, your followers, your subscribers, and let's see if we can build this channel. It is growing, and it is growing pretty fast. But you know what? It could be better because the more people you have, the more conversation is in the midst. So with that, everybody, I appreciate all of you. I still doesn't say what car. Blue, thank you. You're very welcome, Blue. You're always welcome. Always. PR Public, SE. Thank you so much, PR Public. I'll keep spreading the name on the channel. Thank you so much, L. Appreciate you. SE, it could have been from hours to days that they were there before the cops showed up. Very true. L, have a good day, everyone. See you all back at 5. I will be back at 5. So I hope to see you all there. With that, everybody, remember, it's all common sense. Everything is common sense. Everything. Simplify. Blue, Double Dog, if you want to grow, learn OBS and create a broadcast area with mic and lightning. I'm still trying to get all the resources together for that. And thank you so much, Blue. I appreciate you. I'm still trying to get all those things sorted out. If you could maybe even send me some information on what I need and to do, I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Fan, have a great day, everybody. Good to see you all. God bless and simplify. Thank you so much, Blue. You have a great one too, my friend.